So, it's been 7 months, about 7 months, since the last General Nintendo Direct. 7 months. And for a Nintendo fan, that feels honestly like an eternity. Because fans were desperate for news, it was the best time for Nate the Hate to drop a podcast. For those of you who don't know who Nate the Hate is, he is a prominent video game leaker. He shares news about all video game companies, but as of late, he is primarily known for his leaks about Nintendo. Because of the desperation for new news about what's coming for the Nintendo Switch 2, his latest podcast that he dropped, as of this recording about 3 weeks ago, has received 125,000 views, making it the most popular video on his YouTube channel as of today's date. In that video, as most of you probably know, Nate the Hate drops what feels like the entire Nintendo 2026 lineup. From what it seems like he's not really hinting at things, he's not speculating. He dropped the whole thing. Games, release windows, announcements that haven't even happened yet, all of it. I think in today's world, there's a huge want to constantly know what's coming next. And I think it's to the detriment of the consumer, even though it's typically the consumer that is pushing to know what's coming next. I understand this desire, and I think it's natural to want to know, especially if you have just bought a new console. You want to know if that investment will be worthwhile in the long run. But I also think it's affecting people's enjoyment of what's in front of them right now. For so many years, the video game industry has played their hand way too early. The classic example is Elder Scrolls 6. They showed off their announcement trailer way too early, and it's left fans confused and a little disappointed and underwhelmed. While I think it's awesome to have a game announced and then be released in just a few months, like Mario Kart World or Donkey Kong Bonanza, I personally do think that Nintendo needs to find a better middle ground. The wait for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were so long that it really felt like a century passed between announcement and release for those games. I think they've realized that it doesn't make a ton of sense to announce a game way in advance, and it's better and easier to maintain the hype cycle if there isn't as long of a wait. But I also do think they need to start letting consumers know, for the most part, probably about a year in advance, what's coming out, while also keeping a few surprises close to their chest. There really is a hunger for these leaks, and I think that could be kept more in check if Nintendo is better at letting their consumers know the plan at least a little bit in advance. While I personally probably lean more on the side of not wanting to know about games super early in advance, I do think it would be nice to know, at least right now, at this moment, Nintendo's, their estimated slate through the end of 2026. The thing that I don't like about leaks are the lofty expectations that are created by them. When Nintendo announces things, they're allowed to shape the narrative and let the consumer know everything that they want them to know. Take, for instance, this supposed Ocarina of Time remake that Nate the Hate leaked. When I listened to the podcast and learned about this supposed remake of Ocarina of Time, my speculation went wild about what it could look like. People are wondering if this is going to be a full-blown remake, simply a better-looking version of the game, or an upscaled port of the 3DS version. Because we don't know the specifics of what this game will look like, there's a real danger of people setting their expectations way too high. I personally would love a full-blown remake of Ocarina of Time. I've played the original a decent amount of times, and so for me, I would like something more in line with a Final Fantasy VII remake. Looking online, there's a lot of people that would want the same. However, the likelihood of us getting a remake of this scale is probably pretty low. We have no idea what this remake is going to look like, or even if it's happening at all. Leaks like this, for the most part, only set people up to be disappointed. Yeah, it's exciting to know what's on the horizon for Nintendo, but I think a lot of fans need to take what they're hearing with a grain of salt. Because of the reputation of Nate the Hate, people probably won't though. I think if people set their expectations for one thing and then those expectations aren't lived up to, it can do significant damage to Nintendo's brand. You can listen to this podcast and be like, holy crap, I'm super excited for what Nintendo has in store for 2026, but what you're picturing in your mind versus what they end up delivering could be completely different. That, and taking into consideration the fact that Nintendo has been spreading fake leaks in order to catch their internal leaker, a lot of what we've heard could end up being fake entirely. If I'm Nintendo, I'm doing a full Nintendo Direct just to clear the air about what's happening in the future. I think until they do, we should honestly probably act like we have no idea, because we really don't. Do you have any thoughts or comments about the recent Nintendo leaks and Nintendo's plan for 2026? If you do, drop a comment below. I'd love to have a little conversation with you guys about what you're thinking and what you're hoping for. And yeah, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.